Hello and welcome. Today we're going to learn a brand new language. And no, it's not Spanish, it's not code, it's the language of architects and builders. So let's just dive right in and figure out how to decode these things called floor plans. Yeah, I totally get it. You look at something like this, a professional architectural drawing, and it's just this sea of lines and symbols and numbers. It can feel so complex, you know, almost like it's designed to be confusing. But I promise you, it's really not. Because really, that's all a floor plan is. It's just a map of a building. And I'm telling you, by the end of this quick explainer, you're going to have the key to read any floor plan. We're going to take this jumble of lines from totally confusing to crystal clear. So here's our little roadmap for today. We're going to start with the absolute basics, then we'll look at the structure, the pathways, all the essential systems like power and water, and finally, we'll crack the plan's secret language. It's a quick tour, so let's get right to it. Okay, first things first, we need to be on the same page about what we're even looking at. So what exactly is a floor plan? At its heart, a floor plan is just a drawing of a building's layout from a bird's eye view. Just imagine you could lift the roof clean off a house. That top-down view of all the rooms, the walls, the furniture, yep, that's your floor plan. And to make things super easy, we're going to use this simple classroom layout as our guide. So forget about those complicated professional drawings for a minute. We're going to learn all the fundamentals right here with this nice, clean, simple example. All right, let's get into the structure. We're talking about the skeleton of the building, the elements that give it its shape and its strength. One of the first things you'll probably notice are all these numbers along the sides. These are the dimensions. They're the measurements that tell you the real-world size of the space. So right here, you can see this classroom is 30 feet long and 24 feet wide. See? Simple as that. Next up, the walls. The thick, bold lines on the outside, those are the exterior walls. They hold the whole building up. And any thinner lines you see on the inside of a plan, those would be the interior walls, which create all the separate rooms. So why does all this matter? Well, getting the dimensions and walls right is absolutely crucial. It makes sure your furniture will actually fit, it creates private spaces, and most importantly, it forms the skeleton that holds the whole thing together. It's why you can't just go knocking down any wall you feel like. Okay, so we've got our structure. Now, how do we get in and out? How do we let in some light and air? Let's talk about openings and pathways. And the two main types of openings are, of course, doors and windows. Doors let us move between spaces, and you'll usually see them drawn with this little curved line showing which way the door swings open. Windows are typically shown as breaks in the wall, and their job is pretty obvious. Let in light and air. Now check this out, because this is pretty cool. See how universal these symbols are? On the left, that's the simple door symbol from our classroom. And on the right, that's the door symbol from that super intimidating professional plan from the beginning. Look at that. It's the same basic symbol. See? You already know more than you thought. These openings are what make a space feel, well, livable. They totally dictate the flow of movement, they determine how much sunlight you get, and they're what make a building both functional and comfortable. But a building is way more than just walls and windows, right? To actually live in it, it needs power and water. These are the systems that really bring a building to life. So on a floor plan, you'll see symbols for two main types of fixtures. You've got your plumbing fixtures. That's anything that uses water, so think sinks, toilets, showers. And then you have your electrical fixtures, everything that uses electricity, like lights, outlets, and switches. And these symbols are a super critical part of the plan's language. They're basically a map for the plumbers and electricians, telling them exactly where all the pipes and wires need to go to make sure the building is functional and, just as important, safe. We're almost there. We've covered all the big pieces. Now it's time to learn the last few bits of the secret language that ties everything together. Two really key concepts here are scale and notation. Scale is just the ratio that tells you how the size on the drawing relates to the actual real-world size. And notation is just a fancy word for all the text, all the labels, and the symbols on the drawing that give you extra details. And this makes the idea of scale super clear. On our classroom plan, it says the scale is 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. What that means is for every 1/4 inch you measure on the paper, that represents 1 full foot in the real classroom. This is what keeps the whole drawing accurate and proportional. It's kind of brilliant. Okay, remember this guy from the beginning? Let's take another look. Except this time, you're armed with some new knowledge. And this slide just says it all. The walls, the dimensions, the master bath notation. It's not a secret code anymore. It's a map you can now read. Think about it. That crazy drawing from before, now you can actually see those things. You can see the walls forming the room, you can see the numbers telling you the size, and the labels telling you what the room is. It really is that simple.
And to help all of this stick, here's a little memory tip. Now, fair warning, it's a bit of a mouthful, but let's go. Dimensions, walls, doors, windows, plumbing, electrical, stairs, schedule, scale, and notation. I know, that's a lot, but honestly, if you just remember the first few, dimensions, walls, doors, and windows, you've already got a huge head start. That's really the core of what you need to know.
So there you have it. We've taken what looks like a complex document and broken it down into a simple, understandable map. The power to visualize a space, to really understand it, is now yours. So my final question for you is, now that you can read the map, what will you design?